Hey everyone, welcome into the Marvelous Marvel Discussion Arena, our first episode of the year about all things Marvel here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burley and Carl. How you guys doing, man? It's our first Marvel of the year. We're going to be talking about, of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, kind of our review and discussion of the film. So how are you guys doing? Ready to talk some Marvel?
Yeah, man, excited. I'm always excited for more Marvel talk. Things have been kind of strange with Marvel, I think, a little for some people. I think the movies, we've been good. TV shows have been here and there. They said they're slowing the stuff down. If you saw that news story with some of the TV, which is good because I think they're putting too much out too quickly and maybe not giving it enough time in the oven.
Yeah, and we got the news also that the Marvels has been delayed until November. Mm-hmm. So it was originally supposed to come out in July, but they pushed it to November now. So yeah. So Burley, ready to talk some Marvel?
Well, I'm always ready to talk some Marvel.
Nice.
And like Carl said, that news did make me very happy because for the last while, with everything they've been putting out, not all of it feels very connected, and it's just like some of these shows and certain movies have felt like they need a little bit more time in the oven. Take your time. You don't need to rush.
Yeah.
I mean, delaying, the Marvels. I mean, I see that as like, I don't care. Delayed it, not a big deal. Like, and it's going to give visual effects artists more time, which everybody is sort of getting on their case now. Like, that's stories have been out there about that.
Yeah, and there's been some leaks. Of course, Kevin Feige was supposedly saying that Miss Marvel basically steals the movie.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's parallels to her character, where with of course Spider-Man, and how Spider-Man and how he feels about joining the Avengers, and just this little guy from Queens, now being with the big guns, in the Avengers. It's like it seems like Miss Marvel's going to be in the kind of the same type of predicament in this upcoming film. We shall see, but
should be interesting. She
was
a good character. I just think the story they wrote for that particular show didn't really go anywhere interesting.
Well, that's a whole different story. But anyway, yes, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania in this episode of the Marvelous Marvel Discussion Arena. And before we get started, just wanted to let you all know that this will be a spoiler-filled review and discussion of the movie. So if you have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, please go and see it and then come back and enjoy our video here. So with that said, let's jump into it, guys. We've got a lot of images here that I'll be showing from the movie, and you can get your takes on them, as well as your really good points of the film and parts you really didn't like. But I mean, I have to say, I mean, just seeing Scott back in my home city of San Francisco, that was pretty cool. And I mean, the music, man, welcome back. I mean, good old welcome back Cotter. I mean, it just I was like, where's Travolta? I'm looking for Travolta out there, it's like walking the streets or something with that music. But
if they would have put what were you?
The Sweat Hogs. Come on, you got to have the Sweat Hogs in there, out there. So, I don't know. But I know what did you guys think of the beginning of the film? And obviously, Scott being the, the book writer now. He's now a book writer.
Yeah, that was a fun bit. I did enjoy that. He wrote the book. He's doing like the readings, wherever it is, and people know him now, even though some people still make mistaking him.
Thank you, Spider-Man. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted more of this because this is the only section of the movie that's in the real world.
Yeah.
And the last bit at the end as well.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's interesting. We get, Cassie, who, was, recast, but, I mean, she's like, I don't know. She's probably late teens now, I'd say. I guess. I don't know exactly how old she is at this point, but I mean, we find out that basically she was playing with a lot of the tech after the blip, because she gets like thrown in the jail and for being with the protesters and everything, and she had just minimized one of the police cars, shrunk it down, and so she's been playing with that tech and all. So yeah, what did you think of the beginning of the film when it came to Cassie? Burley, how about you?
I think they did a really good job here with Cassie. She's her own character. She's not just she's not purely her father, and I like that she's just sitting, been exploring, trying out this stuff, making her own way, getting into some trouble. But as she points out to her father, she's doing what she thinks is right, and protesting against stuff even he would agree with. But it's just because, but they don't fully see eye to eye, because that parent-daughter relationship, and it's been fractured because he's been away so many times.
Yeah, they're set, and they're also setting up the whole sort of arc of the film, right? Of like, she's like, I'm trying to make a difference, and like, you saved the world, and now you're doing nothing. That whole thing that's like prevalent throughout the movie is that Ant-Man, Scott Lang, isn't doing anything else really with his life at this point. I like her character. I think they did a good job. I think the actress did a good job. She is probably the only real aspect of this film that's sort of like new, that's going to be something that you might be interested in seeing more of. Like, everything else is like kind of more of, well, we'll get to that. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff in this movie.
Oh yes. So,
yeah.
So, and then of course, now we get, obviously they get into the, there's the, thing about the quantum realm and all, and they get sucked into that device, which sends them back to the quantum realm. And, I guess Janet, she's got a lot of secrets in this film, and, it's interesting. We get the flashback as well, of her previously in the quantum realm, before she was rescued and all. But throughout this film, she's got a lot of secrets that she's
skeletons in her closet.
Skeletons in the closet, exactly. That she's held inside for a long, long time, and she didn't want to reveal much. So what did you think of Janet in this film?
I like that she has a big role. It's funny. This movie's like Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I would have to assume that Wasp they're talking about is Janet, not Hope, because Hope's barely important in this film.
That's much to do. Yeah, she was hardly in it except for like at the end. Yeah. So
but again, this gets into some of the issues I have with this movie, is that it's a very tropey film. Not that it's like bad, it's just like we've sort of like they're rehashing a lot of things that we see all the time, like again with this one, like, oh, I'm not telling you this information, I have this secret from this part of my life, and I won't tell you it, and I won't tell you it for this reason and that reason, and now I can't tell you it because we got separated, and like just like this delaying this, like telling you this information that she could have just told them earlier. I mean, they've been playing with quantum technology at the end of Ant-Man 2, so like I don't like, why is it now all of a sudden like, don't do it, don't touch this tech? And the other trope earlier we talked about with the daughter, like the whole I'm rebellious, I'm getting into trouble, like again, lots of tropes in this movie.
One thing I have to say about this film, is with the set designs and like the alien creatures and all and everything, it just it reminded me of the animated TV series SpongeBob and SquarePants with some of the characters in SpongeBob. Just
a lot of weird characters.
A lot of weird characters in this film, man.
That shot you had right there. If you want to quickly.
And this, I'll go back. Yeah, but this actor here, he was really good. I love the part where he's reading the minds of Scott.
And all this. It's funny.
Good stuff.
Because I just want to say this exemplifies another issue with this movie, is that Like you look at the shot. I mean, that's just two people standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
And a lot of this movie feels like that. It's not like obviously most movies are like any heavily CG movie, any superhero movie is gonna have a lot of green screen, right? But this movie, because you're in this other world that doesn't exist, weird quantum realm, right?
Yeah.
So much of this movie just feels like it's just like people on a green screen, like a bunch of weird stuff around.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel almost like you remember how like Star Wars Episode 1 kind of felt like weird because you knew how much green screen they were using.
Yeah. Burley, what do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like most of this movie is just them in front of green screen, and I gotta say, like I get it for the story they're going for, but it just it went a little too long. And I do like this character. Do you have holes? Do you have holes? How many?
Yeah. And I just love, they just that red gooish drink or whatever, they like stuff it down Scott's throat, and then he's able to understand everybody. I mean, just think if the whole world, all you needed was a particular type of drink to be able to understand every language, internationally. I mean, that would be so awesome. But
that would be the number one selling drink in the world.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how they did it in John Carter as well in the film.
Yeah,
something like that.
I have not watched that film.
He didn't know the language, and they gave him something.
Yeah. But anyway, of course, here's the image of
Janet. What I want to say was.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's funny with the goo guy, and he's like, "How many holes do you have?" And just the whole general, like everyone's like, "Who are these weird people?" But like half the people in this world look like regular humans, so I don't understand why. They were so different. What made them different?
What just made it weird for me was like all the other previous Marvel films. Why didn't they introduce some of this before that? It's like in the. In the second Ant-Man film, why didn't we see some of these characters then? When Janet was rescued. When Scott went into the quantum realm. During at the very end of the second film, and then in Avengers Endgame he pops back out. Why didn't we see anything then? It's just like there's this whole big society living in there now, whereas before you thought it was just barren and wasteful and nothing, full of nothingness.
Yeah, it is a weird. I mean, obviously they hadn't written it. That's the obvious reason, the real reason. But Janet. I mean, you had questions, right? Like, where did she get the clothes she had, right? So it's they sort of sell it well enough that like the part with her, at least, she was like isolated herself. She was away from those people. Yes, I don't know. It is weird.
Yeah, and it's like with Cassie, where did she get her suit from? I mean, it's like she gets sucked down there. It's like, how did she have the suit?
Because in this movie, it's just a little thing you pop on your chest, like it's like Iron Man. Like I don't know. All of a sudden, that's what it is now.
Yeah, well, so all of a sudden she had that.
Well, I think there was like a throwaway line when they were having dinner at the Pims. Because Hank was helping her and all that. And they made mention to that. So it's a little throwaway. It's not great, but they have an explanation.
Okay.
Yeah, they said she had a suit. That was fine. And now that we know the suits are just a little thing, it's probably under her shirt or in her pocket. You know?
Maybe. Yeah. And then of course,
how that works at this point, I don't know.
We get the cameos. Again, I mean, just it almost seems like every Marvel movie now has to have some like cameo of like a famous actor. But having Bill Murray, it was good. It was cool, but I mean, I don't know. What did you guys
Pointless,
say?
Right? Yeah.
Oh, this was pointless. This was something you could have took this out of the film.
Yeah, he was only in for like what less than 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife did not like this movie. I don't know. There are moments that are funny, but for the most part, she was not into this whole weirdness and a lot of creepy looking stuff. And Bill Murray, for some reason, she doesn't seem to like that much either. But she pointed out to me that like Bill Murray is kind of like every time you see Bill Murray, he's just doing Bill Murray. Like he's not, maybe at some point when he was younger, he was better, but like now it's just like why did they pick Bill Murray to do this? Anybody could have done this role, and it's really just so they can put him in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, just like in the last Thor movie, you had Russell Crowe. You have Russell Crowe, and now you have Bill Murray, and then the next.
Well, but Russell Crowe played a legitimate, significant character that may return, right?
Yeah.
Please don't, or return with a different actor, because I did not like Russell Crowe in that. But like Bill Murray was in here just to put butts in seats. Let's be honest. Be like, Bill Murray's in this. I gotta see this. He's in here.
Right.
I like him, but like as Carl said earlier, he does the same dang thing in every movie. For the last 30 years or whatever. I've never been big on Bill Murray. Yeah. He used to be good, but he's like, I don't have to try, and I could still make a bunch of money.
Yeah. Now let's get to Kang, because
just, cashing a paycheck. That's what happens.
Yeah.
The thing about Kang, I mean, I think he's going to be a really cool, major villain moving forward as we move along, through phase 5 and all. But the thing I liked about the first few phases was we never really saw Thanos until like the very end. Yeah, we saw like one clip of him here or there, in a cut scene at the end, or not cut, like a in credit scene,
post credits, and then Guardians. He was in that scene.
Yeah. But then we didn't really see him at all until the Infinity Saga finished, right? Whereas I mean, it almost seems like this character Kang is going to be almost in every single Marvel movie now, and maybe TV show. As we're going to talk later when it comes to the end credit scenes, I mean, and of course he's in Loki season 1, and he's probably going to pop up in every single Marvel show now, because obviously, as the multiverse and everything, I mean, there's so many different variants of him. I might get to the point where I just get bored, just have one big movie or two big movies with the big bad, instead of building it up, having him in every single film. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I do wonder how that's going to play out. Okay, so he's in this film, right? And they wanted to show off, a bit. But this film is very much filler. Like, I know people have criticized some maybe phase 4 being filler. This is more filler than anything. I mean, because this is literally like a feels like a side quest, side story, like. Because the movie is literally, we get sucked into the quantum realm sort of randomly, and then we get out, and nothing has changed, right?
Yeah.
So you get the introduction of Kang, and I honestly think he was fantastic. Like,
Jonathan Majors. Yeah,
Jonathan Majors does an amazing job playing him.
Yeah. I think his setup was good. His story, this version, was interesting enough. I wanted to know more. But I do feel it was undercut by the mid-credits scene. Well, I guess we'll get to that later. How often we're going to see him show up? I don't know that we're going to see him a ton. Like, we'll see him in Loki, because that's where we first saw, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe one other movie I could see before Kang Dynasty. I mean, I don't know if they're going to overdo it. We'll see though.
I think they're going to do little clips here and there with like post-credit scenes and stuff. They're going to do stuff with Kang and like everything to lead up. I'm hoping they don't do it too much where it's like, I don't care.
So you think that'll happen in the Marvels?
Oh, I think the end credits, when the post-credits, I think they'll do something with Kang.
Or in Guardians 3, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, because he's not particularly cosmic of a villain, but you could say that in some ways, but yeah, he doesn't feel that way. So
yeah. Okay, let's get to the WTF moment. Like, what the hell was going on? Yes. Yeah, MODOK. I mean, it's like he's still, yeah. I mean, it's like I thought he was, yeah, he gets sucked into the quantum realm at the end of the first film, but it's like I thought he was dead. And he shows up and that face, man. I mean, the face, just didn't look like the original actor from the film. I mean, all puffed up and everything. But yeah,
that was true. Like I didn't quite I mean, I knew exactly who he was, obviously, like because I'm a big Marvel fan, right? But like just looking at him, I'm like, it's hard to doesn't look really like it because his face is like big and weird, and I guess that's the point, right?
Yeah. This version of MODOK, no. MODOK can be a really good character if you do him right. And like I understand, like I knew they weren't gonna do it like the comics with AIM experimenting and all that to create MODOK, but like just putting him in here just feels like we gotta have that callback to Ant-Man 1. We can have MODOK in here to have a side so we can have comedic and some villainy that isn't Kang.
Like, I mean, there's nothing particularly wrong with like having the callback to Ant-Man 1 because it should be a trilogy, right? But the problem is that this movie has very little to do with the other two movies. And actually, a good thing that I talked about that she missed as well is the friends. Like Luis is not in this movie. Right?
Yeah, none of them are.
Yeah, and like that's kind of sorely missed. Like this movie is missing like anything grounded in reality. And the MODOK thing, and the MODOK thing is not. It's weird, and I don't think it was really done poorly. I mean, he looks kind of weird, but like at times it looks fine. Like I feel like when you're looking at him straight on, it's very much like Uncanny Valley. Like it's weird, but when he's sort of side from an angle and other things, I'm like it's MODOK. It's a version of that, and the way they worked in the acronym for MODOK, I was like, yeah, you got it. It was kind of funny. Like I laughed a lot with some of the stuff they did with MODOK. Yeah, but he was still weird and like, it's just hard to look at. It's weird at times. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was in a different movie. And it just like this movie, putting him in here just seems like a waste.
Yeah, well, he seemed just very insignificant until like towards the very end of the film.
Yeah, when he another obstacle, right? Because they split up the teams, so like one was dealing with one thing, one was dealing with that, and then again they split up. Like like Cassie was sort of dealing with him.
Yeah. So, what did you think of the CGI here with Scott trying to retrieve Kang's device? Like the split Langs, and then like splitting into 100, splitting into 1,000, splitting into 1,000,000. And then, of course, you get the Baskin Robbins Scott Lang.
that was awesome having the Baskin Robbins. But I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
it was funny, but also the same just made me think like, so that's the only other option. Like everyone else is like the same Ant-Man Scott Lang, but there's one Baskin Robbins. I get it was a joke, but like you just made me think about shouldn't there be other possibilities? Why is that the only other possibility?
No, it's either Ant-Man Scott Lang or Baskin Robbins. There's no other.
It didn't. I get what they're going for. It didn't quite make sense because like it felt like all the other ones were like infinite possibilities of like what he might say or do in this situation, not like infinite reality versions of what he could become, which is the Baskin Robbins thing. Like, there were two different ideas that like they just sold it as a joke. So like, yeah, okay, it's okay, but it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. And then
this whole scene, man, is like, again, what I said, like green screen. There's so much green screen. Like what? Everything in the background. Like sure. Again, like I think visual effects in this movie, for the most part, pretty amazing. But also, it's a whole lot of weird nonsense. So like, I'm not really buying. I'm not really caring. Like this scene in this cell looks cool. I think this is a more like real scene. Was there a set? I don't know, but like,
Oh yeah, and I mean, just Jonathan Majors. I mean, just the acting was amazing, and just how ruthless he was. Because he was just squeezing, Scott and Cassie. I mean, he could have just killed him with just a little, snap of his finger there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm gonna get what I want. And that was pretty powerful stuff there. So yeah. And then we get towards the end of the film, of course, these battle sequences and all, and of course Scott growing up, super large.
Giant man.
Yeah. And then you get, of course, Hank, which, he was hardly in the film at all, except for
he's got more to do than Hope, at least.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he goes off and he gets the ants, these like, ants that have, progressed and
super ants
evolved over, I guess, how many years that they had been down there.
I honestly loved his little ants thing about it. They set that up in the beginning, right? He's like, oh, I made this ant colony and I made them smarter, and they created this whole thing, and then that thing,
they did all the semiconductor work.
Yeah, you're right. And you see that get sucked into the quantum realm, like with them. But so it makes sense, and it was good. It was a good moment for him because he's like, I'm gonna use my ants to save the day, and he does actually. Without the ants, probably would have all died.
Yeah. So,
what do you guys think about like the growing and shrinking? Like, you're already in this quantum realm, so like, it's weird that he grows big and it's like a thing. Like, oh my god, he can grow big. And Cassie's like, I'm getting tired. I'm like, but you're still really tiny, right? I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd still be like 2 centimeters in the real world or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like subatomic. Like, it doesn't, like, you just like have to accept it in the film, and it's okay. But like, it's just weird. Like, oh, he's giant size, and now none of these lasers matter, and like okay, I guess, but they're all really tiny. Like, I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah. Well, one thing for the giant thing, for him going in it, it says, oh, he's tired, but he still has the ability to fight and all this. It's like you set up in the last film, Ant-Man and the Wasp, when he went Giant Man for the 10 minutes or whatever it was, he passes right out. Like, I'm sure he's gained more endurance, but he's also been in the quantum realm. He hasn't been sleeping, barely eating kind of thing. So it's like, I kind of find it very hard to disbelieve. It's hard to.
I think that's why they put the thing in with Cassie, to show that like he's better at doing it because he's been doing it longer.
Well, let's move on to the scene here with Kang and just wiping out all of these the fighters there, rebels. I mean, just to wiping them out. We haven't
really talked too much about these like weird rebel group.
Yeah, I mean, and I've got holes.
Yeah, they got the weird like machine man with the tank on his head, the glowing.
Yeah, it looked like a lamp or whatever. Then it just
the broccoli guy.
Yeah, the broccoli guy. Yeah, I kind of like that like lamp head guy. Like, that was a cool design.
Yeah.
He seemed to have a little bit of personality, and he was the only Wasp we had in the film, so I felt something for him.
Yeah.
Or her, whatever it was. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, Kang just takes everything into his own hands and just goes down there and starts wiping them out, and then that's of course when the ants come, as we talked about. So, but then we get to, I mean, towards the end of the film here, the fight sequence. I mean, this is one of the action sequences of the film I didn't like. I like the least. Where Kang and Scott are like boxing, just literally like boxing each other. I mean, it's like, come on, man. I mean, it's like Kang should just be able to still completely wipe this guy out. And
I mean, look, Scott's the protagonist. He's the hero. Like, letting him get a couple of shots in, I thought was okay, because for the most part, the way I looked at that fight, Kang was just like toying with him, beating him down, and Scott Lang, like I said, as the hero, gets a few shots in here. I didn't ever think he had a chance at winning. It didn't feel like it either.
No. And then, of course, this is probably one of the the most used scenes with the Wasp in the whole film. I mean, this is the only sequence she's really in it in a sense, and actually
comes in to help when there's an
comes
accident.
in to help.
Like, I'll help a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Forget about me after that. But here I am.
Yeah, and then they have that portal there that they're supposed to go through, and then it breaks down, and I guess Cassie is able to get it back up on the other side, where they're able to get through.
Or the other two scientists.
I would more put that to Hank, so he has something he did in this film.
And Janet,
because he was so underused. But that fight between Scott and Kang, at this point, you know how mad Kang is because they screwed up. Because Scott, when he was in giant form, stopped his travel there. And this has been what he's been working towards for X amount of years because he wants to conquer every universe because this is Kang the Conqueror variant of Kang. So this is quite a powerful variant. Like I get it where Carl said because Scott is the hero, him getting a couple punches in. And I could see Kang letting him get a couple punches in, being like, that's all you got, you weak little human. And just energy burst him and kill him. Or punch his head off. Like, it's like that. At
this point, his suit is not functioning, right? I assume.
No, it's not. No.
Yeah, I forgot how it happened, but
yeah. It's like that. It's like they really nerfed Kang here, and just really gave Scott so much plot armor. Like you can do it in a believable kind of way. I would have thought he would have just maybe put Kang Mini. You could have done him making Kang Mini with a little disc. Kang being like, what? Scott kicks him. He flies like 100 feet away or whatever. And then they can transport him.
I mean, Kang is very much like an Iron Man, right? He just has like a crazy powered like Iron Man suit. It's like I don't know. It's not really established that well, right? Exactly what he's capable of without the suit. He's obviously a really super smart guy, but like I guess we saw a little bit earlier when he was with Janet, right? That what we don't know what he was capable of, but he didn't have a suit, he didn't have anything. She even said like he got his suit back, and that's how he got power again in the quantum realm. Without it, he was just a regular guy, I guess.
Well, that variant maybe. We don't know what the other variants are capable of.
Exactly.
And let's go ahead and move on to that. Of course, the end of the film. Obviously, they're back in the real world, and they're celebrating Cassie's birthday, but it's not her birthday, and all, and then of course we get to the end credit scenes, and
I like this inner monologue of like, wait, did we do the right thing?
Did we do the right thing?
Oh my
exactly. Yeah. And then
what's gonna happen? He's like, nah, it's fine. Like, that was funny. I like that. He's just thinking,
But anyway, the first mid-credit scene. What did you guys think of that one? Of course, with the Council of Kangs.
This is the one, where I have issues because it felt silly. You got the Pharaoh one, but it's like Ramatut.
The King Tut,
Ramatut and Immortus.
Ramatut,
and I have to remember the other one, what that character's name is. There's all these different versions of Kang throughout comics, right? And they have different names. Yeah. These are like the three main ones that they're going to do. And then there's like the arena with all them. And it just seemed silly. She's like doing all these weird voices, the different versions of the characters. And they're wearing kind of silly costumes. And like, it really, for me, undercut Kang.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys felt, Burley. I don't know.
Well, I mean, before we get to Burley, I just want to say, you know, that's kind of what I was talking about previously with, all these different variants and how they're going to probably pop up and show up in like all the TV shows or the movies. I'm hoping not, like you were saying, maybe, they'll be in like a mid or end credit scene and maybe a couple of the films, but I don't know, man. I mean, all these different variants and how they could pop up. Yeah, that just rubbed me the wrong way in a way. But go ahead, Burley.
Yeah, no, I get it, but they're trying to keep true to the character of Kang because this is a huge thing, and then just having them all. I agree, it is quite silly of how they did it, and it's like I don't think you need to show every freaking version of Kang. You could have showed the main three, and that's what that was probably more than enough.
Yeah,
but it's just like. Yeah, I kind of, the thing is like, because you dealt with Kang the Conqueror, how they dealt with him in this film, it's like, okay, if Scott and if Ant-Man and Wasp can take the Conqueror variant, the strongest variant, down themselves with not too much trouble, I kind of don't buy Kang as a threat for what Avengers we do have left. Because like we still have Thor, you still got Doctor Strange, you got Spider-Man, you've got
Captain Marvel.
Ultimately, he was defeated.
Yeah,
wasn't he ultimately defeated by the ants? Right, like.
Well, he was defeated by shrinking into his core.
Well, that too, but like the ants like got to him, and he had to like. That was it. He was done when all the ants killed him. And I was like, what? I guess because that's a lot of ants. These are like. Big. I guess they're really strong.
So we saying for Avengers 5 that when all hope gets lost, the helicopter flows down. Michael Douglas, just have him there, like with all the ants.
Bring all the ants. You got him.
Here's my new quantum mega ants, or whatever they're called.
I'm not quite sure they're saying he's the strongest of all of them. Like
I'm just going by the comics because usually Conqueror is the strongest variant.
I mean, it did feel that way, that they were trying to imply that, but like the other ones, they banished him, right? It's like I don't know what the reason was that they banished him.
I think they stated because it was like stated with Loki season 1 because this is a variant that will just go for every reality, every multiverse, and all that. So. They're just trying to protect as much as they can.
But isn't this Kang also said he's like, I know what's coming, and he's like, he acted like he wanted to stop something or do something in the future. And so maybe that's like they didn't want him to do whatever that is.
Possibly.
That version might even still be alive, right? The implication isn't that he's completely dead. Like, we don't know.
We don't know if he's dead or not. He just shrunk into his device, but who knows? He could have popped out somewhere else.
Right.
The writing. I mean, they could make anything.
They could do anything. That's the thing. Yeah. It could be.
There was this Easter egg that I read about, which I didn't really see it. As I was watching the film. If you remember in Multiverse of Madness. When they went to the council there, and you saw John Krasinski, as Reed Richards, I think he entered through a portal, kind of a bluish type of portal, I think it was, or something like that. Anyway, that portal is also how Kang, I think, in this film, also used. So I think they were saying something about Kang is actually one of the Kang variants is a descendant of Reed Richards.
The original, that the original version of Kang in comics is Didn't they say in this though he was like descendant of Stark in the Loki show? I believe that's what they said.
Yeah.
Right, so they sort of changed that, which makes sense because Reed Richards isn't really established, but that's not to say that versions can't be that. Because whatever.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting when the Fantastic Four actually does appear again, how they address something like that. So that should be cool. But then, of course, the end credits scene, obviously, kind of a preview of Loki season 2. You had Tom Hiddleston there, of course, as Loki, and Mr. Wilson again. Yeah. So, and then, of course, another variant of Kang. What did you guys think of that?
Yep.
The Victor Timely, obviously, like it's a setup sort of for Loki season 2. Like I'm excited for that. I would have cut the other scene with all the Kangs in the arena because I thought it was silly.
Yeah,
and I thought this was fine, just to set up like, hey, there's more of him. Is this one of the ones that we've seen already? Is this Kang the Conqueror, like before he becomes it, or who knows, or is it just another variant? We don't know how they're going to play that.
Yeah, but Loki was, he was pretty spooked. Yeah, at the end of that, in credit scene. So,
I liked it. I agree. This was the better of the two credit scenes. The second one was the better one.
Yeah,
because it's setting up for Loki season 2, giving us a bit and showing you they're still gonna do stuff with Kang for Loki season 2. but where exactly we're going to go with it? Because the Victor Timely, how are they going to play it? Because is he going to be a future variant, a past variant? We don't exactly know per se.
Because it looks like he's in a time period that's in the past.
Like 19th century. It looked like.
Which would mean that he has time traveled already, because he's supposed to be from the future.
Yeah. Do we have a confirmed date for Loki season 2 yet?
I don't think so.
We do yet. Yeah.
Give me 2 seconds here.
I don't even think they even said.
A
month. Definitively, I think it's supposed to be this year, but I don't know.
It's supposed to be this year.
Anything can happen.
So because overall, I think the next TV series is supposed to be the Secret Invasion, right? That's the next one.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think Loki season 2 is going to be first.
They said Loki season 2 should be mid this year. That's all.
Okay.
Probably
summer.
Will be the next show we see.
Yeah.
You know, this film overall as a whole, like I didn't hate it. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. It's very much like there's good elements. I was entertained enough. You know, there's enough laughs in it. You know, but like overall, like I don't really want to watch this again. I don't think anyone needs to watch this movie. If you are a super fan of Marvel and you want to see everything, okay, watch it.
Was it the worst of the trilogy of the 3 films of the Ant-Man films? Was it the worst?
This is my least favorite MCU film overall.
Okay.
100.
Oh wow.
Overall.
Wow. It's not my least favorite MCU film, but it is of the Ant-Man trilogy. This is the worst of the 3. I will watch because I can easily go back watch 1 and 2 at any time. They're good films.
Fun movie.
This one I enjoyed the movie overall. I have problems like MODOK being what MODOK was. Just I think they wasted the character, in my opinion. And Kang the Conqueror, I just don't like what they did with him. Just how he ended with it and all this, and just making him so strong, but then weak at the end, and how he ends up like. That just felt very anticlimactic, and it's just like, we're bringing him in here, so you more and more we're doubling down on Kang because we're really setting up Kang, and like you said earlier, Thanos, they didn't have to do that. They just did small teases, like in the end of the first Avengers. All they just had to have the one little line, and he's showing him smile. To fight them is to court death.
I'd have to say it's in the bottom tier of the Marvel films. I don't know if it's the worst of the worst, but I mean, it's probably in the bottom tier of them for sure. So, funny moments in the film. Some of the CGI was pretty spectacular, even though, like you said, Carl, a lot of green screen. But I mean, Kang, I'm just not sold on him yet. I'm sold on the actor. He's amazing. But I mean, just as a villain, as the big bad villain to move through, phase 5 and into phase 6. And I don't know, man. I don't know yet. I'm just ultimately, when I was growing up, my most favorite comic wasn't Spider-Man. It was Fantastic Four. I loved Fantastic Four. So it's either, Kang or Doctor Doom. I mean, you got to have Doctor Doom in there too. At some point, is one of them.
I can't wait to see how they do that. They got to nail it.
I'm praying they nail Doom. That's the one, like of the villains the big villains that they have left that they haven't used. Like Doom is the one I really, really want to see.
So
like the strength of Marvel, and there's always been the strength of Marvel versus DC in particular, is that the Marvel characters always felt like they were real people. Right, and they're dealing with real issues, and they didn't feel like gods, right? And this movie, out of all the MCU movies, like they don't feel like they're dealing with any real issues. Like the beginning of the movie, and then all of a sudden you're on this like weird fantastical adventure that's just, that feels like anything that happens in here doesn't matter because we're not in the real world. We're in this weirdo quantum dimension that nothing here seems to make any sense or matter, and that's what really takes me out of this film. Like you don't have that like supporting cast that has like that sort of grounds things, or any real world drama or issues that makes these characters feel more than just like a superhero slot.
I mean, there were little bits of like family issues in this film, between Scott and Cassie, Cassie, the teenager, and
that was the only thing. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, even Hope and Janet. I mean, it's like, a lot of your past, it's like I'm learning about now, but I never knew about that before. You've held everything inside. There's
no depth to it. They just like throw it out there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just little bits here and there. So.
Yeah. I mean, like if you're separating the characters, then why don't you put Hope and Janet together and have them like have this moment where they like go through this thing together?
Yeah. No,
they didn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, even when like at the end of the movie, I think it's close to the end, when like Scott and Hope have like a moment and they're like, oh, I love you, blah blah blah. I'm like, I didn't feel it, because like you didn't do it. The whole movie, their relationship doesn't exist until it needs to.
Right.
And that one shot in the beginning where they show them like on top of the bridge,
Hey, they're having a couple beers, kissing.
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh wow, look, they're a couple because they showed you for a second.
Yeah, they just like split them up the whole film.
Yeah, like, they didn't feel like they had a relationship.
Yeah. Well, they feel they have a relationship a bit in the beginning, because you got that, and then the car ride, because Hope goes to get to Cassie first, and Scott, and it's like, are they married? Because why is Hope hearing about this first before Scott? And it's just like, it's like they don't fully focus in on this relationship.
Yeah, that was more interesting. See, that's more interesting to me, the dynamic of that family, because it seemed like they cut out Scott Lang because he's just kind of silly and he's writing a book, and everyone else is like, now we're using our powers for like useful stuff.
We're being good.
Yeah.
Hope's doing all this stuff with the Pym stuff just to, better humanity and all this.
Right.
Hank's retired and just wanting to live his life with Janet, but he's also helping Cassie with her activism. It's like,
And I assume Hope was in on that in some aspect, and that's why they had that sort of.
I'm sure she was.
Yeah, but like again, none of that is all out the window. That's just like the beginning, and then we just go on this weird adventure that like was okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Marvelous Marvel Discussion Arena, where we, of course, gave our review and had our discussion of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Of course, the next film will be, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which will probably be the last of the Guardians films. We shall see. But we're looking forward to seeing that and bringing you our review and discussion of that. And then, of course, Disney Plus, when they start dropping the new Marvel series, we will be on top of that as well. So until the next edition of the Marvelous Marvel Discussion Arena, I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burley and Carl. So we hope to catch you in the next one. So take care, everyone. Peace out.